Welcome to a odd Skolcial network. It's first round of the playoffs, and things are changing every day already. I'm Jason here with the man, the myth, the Brevin Bane. Brev, how are you doing? Did you survive the great Washington, D.C. snowstorm?
I did. We got another one coming tomorrow. So
I hope you're okay and you're staying cozy, cuddly, and warm.
um,
Um,
I am fine. I am blessed to be fine with everything else happening on the other side of the country, which of course we will
yeah.
dive into. So
Yeah, so obviously, everyone knows I live in Arizona. Originally, I am from Palm Springs, California. Most of my family on my mom's side is from the Pasadena, Alhambra area. Shout out my Armenian peeps. Um, so, what's going on in LA right now? Obviously, terrible. Before we talk about the implications of the game, um, there is a staunch reality that a terrible thing happening in my home state is going to have beneficial aspects for the Minnesota Vikings potentially. That does not outweigh the terrible things going on. Okay, it's something we're going to talk about. Want to make that clear because what I've learned from the internet is people take one way or the other to the extreme. But first off, we want to say if you do want to help with everything going on in LA, I know you're probably a little limited because most of you are based out of the Midwest, Minnesota. Cal Fire Foundation, there is a link to that on my Twitter that helps those who have lost homes. That also helps up to this point. Knock on wood, I'm pretty sure this hasn't happened, but if any firefighters do lose their lives, it does also support their families as well, along with the American Red Cross. So, first and foremost, obviously, our hearts go out to Los Angeles. We want to help them out. Those are two organizations that can do some great work for those affected. With that being the case, two main reasons this affected the game. I saw people going back and forth on if it should even have an impact on the game or why. First is that SoFi is not a dome. That is a common misconception. It has what I would effectively consider like a glass awning over it. If you Google SoFi Stadium, you will see that much of it is open air. The very sides on the end zones are completely wide open. They cannot be closed like US Bank Stadium with the turning doors. It basically just has an awning over it. So air quality being probably the top concern from the NFLPA, and then of course, Brev, did I tell you about my? This plays in here. The Uber experience I had leaving that game in October.
uh, I think you might have.
Long
No, maybe
story short,
not.
the stadium is in the middle of a neighborhood. If you look back to when the Rams and also the Clippers were talking about building their stadiums there, not a lot of fans of doing that from the locals because it literally is just traffic gridlock through neighborhoods. Like I pointed out, like if you live in one of the homes nearby, you cannot leave. There are hundreds of Ubers blocking your cars, and it's these single lane, maybe two-lane roads where also people are parking. It's a mess. All that ties to the fact that the demand on resources for Los Angeles right now would be just an insane thing to do, given what's going on. Even if they get the fire contained, like there's so many off-duty policemen and firemen working right now that just to have them go work a massive event on Monday would be insane. Um, so
They're even postponing like Kings and Lakers and I think probably Clippers games soon. So like even if I wasn't a dome, they would have, I'd assume, moved it.
yeah, 100%. And I think when you look at that, and then I know some of the sources I talked to said that the decision would likely have been made today, Friday, as of yesterday morning, or even as late as Saturday morning was the league's intent. Um, but the thing that ended up forcing their hand last night was another fire broke out where the Rams, so many of the players and staff live in the area it was in that they guys were getting in their cars driving with their cleats on. Um, and so that forced the NFL to make a decision. They did want to wait to the last minute. Obviously, you can argue with a wall about the current rules of NFL seeding. They are what they are. The Rams, by all technical standards, did earn a home game, and the NFL wanted to keep that. It just wasn't going to work.
No. And again, we're having to separate real life from football again. But I guess just precursor. Everything that we're saying, like the Vikings benefit from the Rams having to move and this going on, like in no way is to downplay the wildfires. I guess it's just kind of a fact of the matter thing.
Yep.
And I really, I guess to, unless you had anything else, I guess to segue us into the football talk, I don't know how much it definitely benefits the Vikings. Again, it feels wrong to say, but just fact of the matter, football wise, to where like the Rams players are going through this, and I'm sure it's kind of hectic, and it's a huge, huge, huge distraction because I can't imagine being a Rams player and like going to play this game if you're near one of the fires, being like, okay, like what's gonna happen while I'm gone? So
100%.
that's a huge mental thing. And I like again, I hate saying that's a benefit to the team that they're playing, but again, just from the football side of things, other than that, I don't know because I feel like the Vikings travel well everywhere, but do you, I guess you know way better than me. Do you really think like there's a just from attendance wise, do you think there's a bigger benefit for the Vikings fans in Arizona versus LA? Because I feel like it's not that huge.
I'll get into that in a minute. I do want to double down on what Brev said for for this portion we're moving into. What we are talking about from a competitive football advantage is not to negate what is going on in LA. Trust me, again, I have family still there in Pasadena who was impacted by the fire. Like, I'm not, don't even think that that's what we're doing for a second, but our job is to talk about, well, one of our jobs, our side job,
Yeah.
this job is to talk about what it means for a football game at this time. All right. Um, One, I would say I agree. It's gonna look. The Rams players are carrying a ton of emotional baggage and weight. But my thought process is like, look, they're gonna be motivated to put on for the city.
Hmm.
As somebody from the area and somebody who still is a fan of like the Dodgers, for example, uh, there I would not be shocked if they came out swinging. Obviously, practice and prep time is going to be. It's just a matter of the fact. It's going to be limited. But they're going to want to put on for the people of Los Angeles. They're going to want to represent to the point where, like, if the Vikings have a game where they lose, I'm going to be upset the season's over. But man, it's not. There's going to be an aspect of respect for the Rams being able to do that. Like, I'm just going to be honest. It's similar to like anytime you see a team play right after a tragedy and they represent their city, even if they beat your team, you have to be like, hey, well, it absolutely sucks and I'm mad, but hats off to that team. Um, so a couple things. There's a ton of Vikings fans here. One, the Snowbirds, but also there is a ton of kids who come out here to ASU, GCU, even NAU, whatever the schools are, because hey, I want to get out of the Midwest. And I know I like Arizona because my snowbird grandparents live there and they stay out here. So there is a ton of Vikings fans in their 20s and 30s and 50s and upwards. When we played them in 2021, I'd say it was about 60% Vikings fans at uh, State Farm Stadium, which do not even get me started on the irony of where that game was moved. If you know what the insurance companies did in California, we will make that a sidebar episode. But the NFL, really interesting move on that part. Where was I going? Tons of Vikings fans. Like, there's multiple pretty famous Vikings bars here. Obviously, a lot of people have seen me talk about Boondocks. Four Peaks in Tempe is filled with hundreds of Vikings fans every Sunday. And then I got a shout out to the OG, a bar I've never been to. There is a North Dakota family that opened a bar in, I believe it's in Mesa or Chandler. It is cash only. Bring your own food. And it is first come, first serve to get a seat. It's called Jupes. It is so hardcore, and I'm a hardcore fan, but I'm not trying to stand outside of a place 2 hours before and bring cash and have to do potluck food that I haven't been. But there's a ton of Vikings representation. Uh, Season ticket. This is something interesting. So, Rams season ticket holders had first dibs at 10 a.m. this morning. The lower bowl completely sold out. So a lot of Rams fans or even rival fans of the Vikings are pointing out, oh, so much for a Vikings home game. Couple things to note. 70 to 80% of those tickets are already on resale sites. Uh, if anyone deserves to like grab those tickets and resell them at a profit right now, shout out LA. I get it. The tickets were super cheap to begin with. Um, and the Rams season ticket holder code, get this. What would you guess their code is? I'll give you its 5 letters for the Los Angeles Rams wild card game.
Ram 25.
LARWC. Took a few people about 10 tries to figure that one out, and it ended up in every Vikings Facebook group possible. So Vikings fans were in on the Rams presale.
Good.
So those numbers showing, look how many Rams season ticket holders bought tickets is not accurate.
Yeah. Maybe some password security or something parallel to that needed there for them. So, good, nice execution there, Rams
Yeah.
ticket team.
Yeah. Didn't think that one through as far as being able to guess it quickly.
Going
I
through trying to guess somebody's passcode on their phone, going 1 2 3 4 2
yeah,
5 8 0 6 9 6 9 0 0 0 0.
basically
Oh,
6969.
yeah.
I got my tickets officially handled this morning, but I got them locked in last night. I want to shout out about 10 minutes after. This is a crazy. I've had some crazy things happen to me through my Viking fandom. This has to be up there. About 10 minutes after it was announced, maybe 30. I don't know. Time ceased to exist. I got also 420 text messages or 427 text messages last night. It was insane. Um, I got a call from a Phoenix area code and I picked it up. It says, "Hi, is this Jason Harmon?" I was like, "Yes." This is the Arizona Cardinals. "Yeah, this is Jason Harmon. Is this Jason from the Skolcial Network?" First of all, Brev, I thought of you in that moment. I was like, well, I don't know where this conversation is about to go, but look at us. Who'd have thought? Look at us. I
We
also, it's
are,
my header on Twitter. It just says Skolcial Network.
yeah.
But,
Well, we are now a pro Cardinals podcast.
oh, buddy, I tweeted online that that if you see a Rams fan, buy him a beer, and I'm being attacked by a certain NFC North fan base as being soft and having slurs thrown my way, but we can get into that later.
Which one? Which one?
Which one do you think?
But an NFC North fan
If
base?
I tweeted support the Rams fans you see at the game, who would assume that's a shot at them?
Okay, gotcha. The Bears, right?
Naturally.
Mhm.
Anyways, long story short, me and some of our Vikings Twitter peeps, we're gonna have a sweep, and that's gonna be freaking awesome. So I'm really, again, separating the fact like I keep checking in with like my aunts and stuff and my cousins in what's a bad situation when it comes to this football game. I'm excited that this is a unique opportunity. But again, like I said on Twitter and like I just mentioned, if you see a Rams fan there, like they may not be from LA, whatever, they might have no connection to LA. But if you get talking to one, you find out they're from LA or they have family affected, like be a good person. I don't care if we're losing by 40, winning by 40, like be cool with them, show them some love. Uh, this is going to be a Vikings home game to some extent. Act like we're hosts to people who need some love.
Yeah, and that would just be the Minnesota thing to do, no matter how upset it makes another fan base, apparently. Like, it's, and we, like a certain portion of our lives, is the Minnesota Vikings, you especially. I don't want to know how much money you've spent on the Minnesota Vikings in general. Um, but like when it comes to that, with something like this happening, like football, even before, like even if it wasn't happening, like football just doesn't matter. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It's community. It matters in the sense of community, in the sense of making lifelong friends, in the sense of being happy, following a team, believing in an underdog, coming together. But like the results by themselves, like they just don't matter. Like uh, making it like that is just weird. And I understand why that fan base, I guess, thinks that from a football sense, but like just any amount of awareness. If Dan Skipper, like if they said you Dan Skipper was not eligible and they throw up billboards about it, like I don't know.
I never want to hear that name again. We're banning that
Dan
name from this
Skipper.
podcast.
Dude, oh my God. Okay, one last thing on that game. By the way,
How many times did they do that?
we're getting comments from Lions fans on our last video. I don't know if you saw
Dude, they were going at Dustin on the regular show. I was like, what are we doing?
I don't know.
It's
Congratulations.
my fault. I'm gonna take the L on this. And probably
Why?
Dustin too. Because we have all our Vikes Now and Skolcial Network, well, me, Skolcial Network, him Vikes Now on our Twitter pages, and we've been scrapping, and you've just been in no Twitter la la land, not fighting for the cause.
I'm fine. I literally
So
said we're gonna win this.
you gotta go to battle in the comments under the Vikes Now account, since you're just not on Twitter fighting the battle me and Dustin are.
Well, the thing about that is like my life is just so much better now that I'm not doing that.
Get back to work,
And
lazy bum.
if people, oh, I gotta tell you about that off air, by the way. And like people, I guess, flocking to the comments to do that. Like one, little early. We got a playoff run to go. Two, I think you missed the entire point of what we were saying, and that it's kind of funny that it came down to that needing to happen for you to win the division in the best season of your lives against the Sam Darnold rebuild. But the cheering for Dan Skipper when he gets onto the field to still like throw shade at the NFL, like how are we still doing that? How long has it been? Was that game was in like 2023, right? At this point, I
Yeah,
I don't get it. I feel like we've had much worse calls slash no calls, like Bounty Gate. Like the next
face
season,
mask.
did we even mention it? Yeah, face mask we were mad about for like a couple of days, and we're like, I don't know if we would have won anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, we're
Just
not making signs being like avenge Sam Darnold's face mask before this game.
yeah. How dare you
Anyways,
buy Rams fans beer?
gonna be a weird game. If you're coming, couple pieces of advice. A lot of the hotels over by State Farm Stadium are in what we call the Westgate district. Those are getting pricey, like pricey. Obviously, most people when they come out here want to stay in my neck of the woods in Scottsdale. I say my neck of the woods. I'm at like the bottom of Scottsdale where it's technically like right next to Tempe and no one hangs out right here. And then you drive like 10 minutes and it's where all the entertainment stuff is. Uh, just be prepared for like an annoying Uber to and from the stadium. It's about with traffic like a 45-minute drive, but Scottsdale's cool. And then the Vikings got a hold of this. Let me read the details. If you are coming to the game, the Vikings will be holding a Vikings Fleet pregame tailgate at Bar Louie, Yard House, and Salt Tacos y Tequila with Jake Reed confirmed to be in attendance. I'm not sure who else. There's going to be giveaways, playoff rally towels. So, like, this is genuinely turning into a home game. Contest, prizes, Vikings, cheerleaders, and the man who's been spying on me through my Christmas tree, Victor the Viking.
Oh, oh no.
I posted a picture of my ornament, and Victor replied on Twitter saying, "This is how I keep an eye on you Vikings fans, and see if you've been good or not." And said, "I've been, quote, adequate."
Should we beat him up?
I'll see you there, Victor.
Hmm. So you're going to that, and you're gonna beat up Victor.
Never said that, but I'll see
I did.
Victor there.
I think you're gonna beat up Victor. Or you're gonna try to beat up Victor. What if Victor clowns on you?
I'm going to talk to Victor.
What are you gonna say? I think I just cut my finger. You probably shouldn't play with a pocket knife. You want to use this for Victor?
God, you remind me of my brother-in-law. For the first 2 years I knew him, the Christmas gifts he gave us all were pocket knives.
Dude, my
Just
brother
great. It's
gave
what you want, an
every
abundance of pocket knives when you're about to have a kid.
my brother gave
Shout out Loden.
my brother get that's a sick name. My brother gave every dude in the family a new Milwaukee knife or utility blade, I guess it's called. Um, Shout out Milwaukee. If you like DeWalt, you're probably a Lions fan.
Anyways, got a couple minutes. We'll keep this short and sweet. Game plan for me is pretty obvious. Sam Darnold hit your passes. Like,
Huh.
look, the Rams are a super weird team in the sense that like half their season, like most of their players were injured. Then they got healthy, and when they got healthy, their season debatably got even weirder. As far as results, they beat us in look, the face mask sucked, but it wasn't the full story of that game by any means. Um, but I mean, just looking since they beat us, because really that was the game they got most healthy in, and then they had Puka and stuff out for a couple games, yada yada yada. But they only beat the Seahawks by 6. They lost to the Dolphins by 8. They beat the Pats by 6. They lost to the Eagles by 17. Beat the Saints by 7. Beat the Bills 44-42. And then they play the Niners 12-6, and then the Jets 19-9. And then Seahawks game doesn't count, and then they only beat the Cardinals 13-9. So they have these games where it's like, oh, this is an impressive win, and then we barely squeak by or we get a weird loss. They have a
Sounds
ton of
familiar.
talent. I know they have a ton of talent. Brian Flores, I don't know if you know that or saw this. He admitted this week, yeah, we didn't know about Puka till like 3 hours before the game last time. We had literally nothing.
Yeah, they held it out. They held out that news late, which I feel like shouldn't be allowed, but it's gamesmanship, I guess.
Here's the thing: Vikings are favored. I think that line's going to move even more because that was based off LA. I don't know if that. I'm sure that'll impact lines. It has to. Vikings were opened at 2.5 point favorites, and I think they were sitting at 1.5. I'm sure it'll move to like 3 or 4.
Hmm.
Um, I have the Vikings again. Like the Rams have the talent to beat us any given game. The Rams have the motivation. They also, like to your point, could be mentally wiped. I don't know what to expect. I'm calling the Vikings win this game 34-27.
What do you think? I think
You're not going to say the Vikings lose because the only reason you say the Vikings lose is because boy math to help us be better. But I also know that you might be really mad about last week and fully back on the JJ McCarthy train and know the sacrifice that needs to be made to make that happen. That could be the boy math you move to.
the boy math that I moved to this week is that is that the a lot of people are picking the Rams. And I understand why, but I also don't, especially after you just went through their games to end the season when they got healthy. And then when you look at the Vikings games to end the season, it's just like clear recency bias about Detroit, the Detroit game. And like I get that, I understand it. It was embarrassing. I still don't think it was it. The entire game truly tells a 22-point loss, even though that's what the score says. So it doesn't matter what I think. But really, like if Sam Darnold just hits passes, it's a way closer game, and people are probably still like, "Oh yeah, the Vikings are a legit contender." So boy math, Sam Darnold comes out and deals death, and the Vikings win 31-16. We're winning the Super Bowl still, by the way. Go back to Detroit.
Are you
Oh,
ready? So wait, real quick, because 2 weeks ago before the Detroit game, I've been meaning to text you about this. You said the Vikings are winning the Super Bowl, and you know why, and you have
mhm.
proof, but you'll share it later. Did last week's outcome change that projection?
Nope.
How hypothetical money?
Hmm.
Because I'm not going to actually ask you to give me money. Like scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that whatever magic beans you purchased to tell you the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl, how confident are you that you found something no one else has noticed?
$17,000.
Because what I am guessing is that it's one of two things. You found some crazy analytical trend that no one else has uniquely identified, and you're well ahead of the game. Or two, it is going to be the stupidest possible answer I have ever heard in my life.
So for your first option, no, I would have told you that had you tweet it and then given me credit because I would have felt like a genius. And then secondly, no.
Keep
You'll
tuning
find
into the
out.
Skolcial Network, regardless of results, because either Brev's going to keep this bit going after Monday, or he's going to have to answer what he was going to say if we had had a chance to win. But
If they don't win the Super Bowl, I can't reveal what it
I know
was.
that is no,
Yeah,
no.
because
This is
I'll tell you, but
okay.
I can't reveal what it
Oh,
is publicly because then I'll look like, oh. He's just trying.
They win the Super Bowl. They win four straight road games. The reason they were going to win the Super Bowl is I knew they would win four straight road games. Like whatever. As long as you tell me we're good.
Yep.
All right. Well, uh, again, if you guys are coming out here, welcome to Arizona. Excited to host you. Um, excited to have some opportunity to help the Vikings do some cool stuff out here. If you want to help our friends in LA, one, again, talk to some Rams fans, see what they're dealing with, their families dealing with, show some love. But also, Cal Fire Foundation goes directly to firefighters who may be injured or lost during this and their families, along with those who are going to need their homes rebuilt. And then the Red Cross would help anyone who's injured. If you want to take the other route, you can also look at the California Humane Society, a lot of displaced animals as well. Lots of ways Skull Nation can help. In the comments, throw some love and throw a skull in there so they know we got their back.
Yes. Lions fans, stay out of the comments. You smell weird.
We will see you guys probably on Tuesday. And Skull Vikes, it's going to be a busy weekend.